An active 62-year-old Rockford man's life takes a turn with the news he needs heart surgery. But his procedure becomes a first for the Rockford area.
WIFR's Alyssa Kelly meets with the man, his wife, and the surgeon to learn how cutting-edge technology can quickly get patients back on their feet.
One day my heart started beating fast and my breathing would change. At the time, I didn't really think too much of it.
Reggie Herford, a retired Chrysler plant worker, enjoyed an active life for decades until health issues emerged.
They thought maybe it was anxiety. Once they prescribed me some medication for that, but things changed, and my wife didn't think it was anxiety.
Daily activities like going up the stairs, cutting the grass, even washing the car left him out of breath.
They had to go with a camera down my throat. Okay, they put the camera down my throat and they discovered that my heart was in bad shape.
Reggie met with Dr. Ghulam Murtaza.
We scheduled surgery.
And became the doctor's first Rockford patient for robotic heart surgery.
We didn't know any of that. We found all of that out after the fact.
The procedures are done without opening the chest, a less invasive alternative.
That's one of the things that we both were nervous about, them having to crack my entire chest open. Dr. Murtaza said, no, you won't have to do that. It's going to be a few incisions on your right side. The robot will go in and take care of the issues, and everything will be fine.
His recovery has been amazing. He had surgery on a Monday morning. They let him come home Saturday afternoon.
I think they had me up out of the bed the next day.
The next day.
Heart surgery, especially when you do it robotically, you almost like instant healing, because once your ailment is fixed, the heart can work much better, more efficiently. That is very gratifying for me to see.
Reggie eventually began physical therapy, and his wife says he's a new person.
This is a great hospital. They have scored a phenomenal surgeon, and he's put together an awesome team.
Without a doubt, I would highly recommend having it done. I would highly recommend coming here to have it done. I would highly recommend having Dr. Murtaza do the surgery.
In Rockford, Alyssa Kelly, WIFR News.
February also marks American Heart Month, and both Reggie and his wife stress the importance of listening to your body and getting checked when something feels wrong.